Okie dokie. Should we let them in?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, let me get the chat open.
There we go. Welcome, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
Oh,
hi.
There we go. Hello, everyone. Nice to see you all.
Hi, everyone. Ooh, let's have a look at the chat.
Humid Ontario.
Oh, wow.
Excuse me. Let me get this in the right position. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, I think, for some.
Somebody last week talked about our global community. I really liked that.
Yeah.
Oh, lucky you, Joanna. I'm desperate to see it. Oh, Ayesha, I see that you're one of the Meet the Artists tomorrow.
That's right. Yeah. So if anyone would like to join us, just go onto the Aga Khan Centre Gallery website. Maybe I can put this in the chat, actually.
Did you see in the chat, Ayesha, that Joanna has?
Yes, I just saw that. Saw that. Yeah.
Okay, maybe one more minute and then we'll start.
Oh, lovely.
Still have people coming in, or are we okay?
Well, we can do our welcomes, and then I can keep letting everybody in, Laurelie, while you do our Zoom keeping. Apparently, it's the expression now.
Yes. Oh, Zoom keeping.
Okay, so welcome everybody. It's Charlotte from Leighton House. Just a very warm welcome and a thank you to. We've had some lovely comments through the week and some beautiful work being shared on social media as well. So thank you, everybody. It's so uplifting and encouraging, and we really appreciate it. So enjoy Blissful Birds this evening, and I'll hand over to Laurelie and Ayesha.
Good evening for us. Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you guys are. Thanks for joining us again for workshop number 2, Blissful Birds, with Ayesha. Ayesha's going to take us along rendering and painting the little birds in last week's composition. And I think we're going to have a wonderful time. If you guys are joining us for the first time, Ayesha is an illuminator and an illustrator, and a very good one at that. And so you are in very trustful hands. I always forget to like move the slide. I keep jabbing on. So please put your camera or turn your camera off and mute yourselves if you have not been already. This just helps us with the bandwidth and making sure that you guys get a very good quality recording and you can hear us. If you have any questions or need any help, I'm here to help you. And you can send me questions as a private message, or you can send it in the group. I'm here to help you. And we will have a brief break halfway through. And yeah, let's get started. And let me get out of here. All right, Ayesha, it is all on you now.
Oh, thank you.
Would you like your hands pinned as well as your face, or both?
Actually, yes, that would be great to have both, and then I'll just switch to hands, I think, afterwards, after I've said what I want to say.
There we go. 1 second. Sorry. There we go.
I'm not seeing that. No.
You're not seeing both?
No, I just see a face.
I've got both. I can see both.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think we're okay.
Okay. So welcome everyone to tonight's session. We're going to be working on birds this week. So using the same design that we started before, which is this one here. Don't worry if you haven't, don't worry if you weren't here last week. You can always catch up.
Ayesha, 1 second. My apologies.
Are we good to go?
Sorry. Yeah, we're good now. Sorry.
Yes. So don't worry if you weren't here last week and you haven't painted the flowers. Just follow us for the birds. And if you're curious about how to paint the flowers, then maybe a bit later in the session I can do a little recap and show you some of those techniques from last week. But for now, let's get started on the birds. I think, so I've requested that people, as far as possible, try to make sure that their work is on printed onto watercolor paper, which just saves us a bit of time with the tracing. Just a very quick recap, if you haven't managed to print your work onto the watercolor paper.
I'm taking care of it, don't worry.
Thanks. Oh, great, thank you. So if you haven't managed to print this onto watercolor paper, what you can do is trace it. So I'll just do a quick demonstration of the tracing technique. Take a piece of tracing paper, trace over the design. So I'm just going to do a flower. And I'm using an HB pencil.
Ayesha, do you want to pause just a moment? Because I think some people can't see your hand. So
yeah, that's okay, sure.
Because I'm looking at it and I can see both, and I've pinned both.
If you just pin my hands, Laurelie, would that?
Okay, yeah.
Because yeah.
What about now? Can someone let me know in the chat box?
No. Strange.
Okay.
We only see your face.
Okay. Just keep your microphones off, because then it keeps me from having to go through the list. Huh. Okay. Give me 1 moment. I'm just gonna redo everything. Okay.
I'm going to put remove spotlight from my face.
Okay. Spotlight for everyone. What about now?
yes, that's good. I can see.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. We fixed it.
Okay. Sorry about that, everyone. So just recapping the tracing technique for in case you haven't managed to print onto watercolor paper. So you will trace everything. I'm just going to do a flower just to show you the technique. So you'll trace over the entire design. And then when you've finished, take the tracing paper and take your watercolor paper, flip the tracing paper so that the pencil side, so this is the side where I've drawn with the pencil, is against the watercolor paper. And then just go very carefully over the lines with your pencil. And that will transfer it onto your watercolor paper. So if you haven't done that, then that's the first thing you need to do. And don't worry if you fall behind a bit, because everything is recorded and is going up on the Leighton House YouTube channel. So you can catch up in your own time.
I have a question here quickly. One of the students is asking if we're planning on painting the background.
I wasn't going to paint the background on mine because I have quite a lot of colour in mine already, but you feel free to if you want. That's fine. I noticed that some people have put backgrounds on theirs already, which is lovely. So.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Okay, so let's move on to the birds now. And for this, I'm going to use gouache this week. So I've given people the option of using gouache or watercolor. Watercolor will work as well, but I quite like the opacity of gouache. So I'm going to start with this bird here. Let me just zoom this in a bit more. So I'm going to start with the hoopoe, which is this one over here. And I have already got a sort of a browny colour in my palette that I can use. But I think I'll just I'll demonstrate how to make a brown for people who are a bit unsure. And also, I've got my sheet here with different birds on it, so I can refer to the hoopoe here. So just have that next to you as well. So, I mean, we've all probably got quite different colours, but here I've got raw sienna. You could use yellow ochre though, you could use maybe a Naples yellow, just as a sort of a starting base colour to go with. This is it's a bit dried up, sorry. Okay, so this is yellow ochre.
So we're being asked which birds did you choose?
So I've chosen, I had originally in mind a hoopoe, a starling and a turtle dove, or a pair of hoopoes, a pair of starlings and a pair of turtle doves. But I've put different options on the sheet so that you can paint different birds if you want to. Okay, so I'm going to make my ochre a bit, just a little bit more reddish, a bit warmer. So I'm adding a little bit of, this is cadmium red. So, I mean, it doesn't matter if you've not got the same colours of reds and browns as me, just use whatever you've got. So that just warms up my ochre a little bit. Maybe just a tiny bit more. And don't worry if it's not exactly the same color as the bird on your photocopy. It's all a little bit of interpretation, and it's imaginative as well. So I mean, I'm going to show you how to paint the 3 different birds that I have, but you can also just make up your own imaginary bird if you want to, and just sort of use some of the techniques I'm showing you here. Don't feel that you have to stick strictly to what's on the sheet. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take some of my colour and going to paint it on the body of my bird. You can go up to the outline, you don't have to go on top of it. Well, you can if you want to cover the outline. So I generally use the point of my brush when I get to the edges, because that helps me to be a bit more precise. And I use the edge of my brush in the middle of the shape, because then I can get better coverage. Go around the eye. I'm going to paint just the little bit of the body that's sticking out underneath the wing. Yeah. And then while that's drying, I'll start painting my second hoopoo.
Do you know if the male or female look different, or do they look the same?
I'm not sure, actually. That's a good question, because normally the male is more elaborate for a lot of species.
Let's see.
Yeah, please do check that out.
Oh, she is. Oh, this is not it. Her striations are different. That's interesting. Like they look like they belong together, but it seems like her body is more brown. Like the underbelly of the male seems to be white. Like it goes like the taupey color into the white, whereas although the female's wings are the same.
Can you, Laurelie, can you post a picture of that in the chat? Because it'd be quite nice for us to see. And I mean, if you want to, you can make them a pair of males or a pair of females, or one male and one female.
Okay, I'll do that.
And
it says here, she is similar in her feathers, but slightly smaller, and she has a duller, kind of paler feathers. So let me get that. but it's I mean, it doesn't look that different. Let's see. And what's incredible are like the different dances, and I mean, they're mating rituals, but still at the same time, they're dances that they do, all of these like really wonderful birds of paradise, and it's incredible. The different feathers and let's see.
Actually, I'm going to continue that colour along the beak, because the beak sort of same colour as the body, but then it just changes a bit at the end, gets a bit darker at the end.
So for everyone who are wondering about this male and female hoopoe, it is in your, it's in the chat box now.
And next I'm going to take some black. So I have a bit of black wash here in a shell. And I'm just going to paint those stripes in the wings.
And someone asked, did you paint the beak the same ochre color?
Yeah, the same color as the body. Sorry, I've just moved this up so you can see the drawing a bit better. And actually the end of the tail looks black, so I'm just going to paint a black section at the end.
I like the contrast between the opaque birds and the, you know, very watercolory flowers. It looks really nice.
Yeah, I thought it might work quite well because the yeah, just to sort of pick out the birds a bit more. So I've just opened up the photo that you sent, Laurelie. So is it the female that's on the left?
The one that's smaller.
With the sort of with the back towards us.
Yes.
That's the female. Okay.
Yeah.
And did you say that her body underneath is browner?
Yeah, when I checked,
Yeah.
he's paler.
Okay. I see.
Yeah.
So what we can do then, I'll make one male and one female. What we can do, so I'm gonna make, so this is a bit smaller, that should be the female. So I'll make this one the male. And I'm just gonna take, I've got sort of a creamy color here in my palette, and this one here, which is just a bit of, it's more or less the same color of this, just but mixed with white. So whatever color you've taken for the body, if you just take a little brush stroke of that and mix it with white gouache to give you a sort of a pale creamy color. And I'm going to give the male like just a sort of a white creamy chest, but I'm going to do it try and do it in a sort of a feathery way. So you can maybe just watch this first and see if you want to use the same technique that I am. So I'm just mixing my color. And I've made it so it's not completely opaque, it's a little bit transparent. And then I'm going to just wipe most of the color off the brush so it's almost dry. And I'm kind of just making really light feathery movements with my brush to give him a sort of a creamy feathery chest. So just try and come in a bit closer so you can see that. And then I'm going to take, I think I want a grey next. So I'm going to take this colour, or just something a bit darker than this, and mix it with some of my black, so I can make the colour of the beak a bit better. Because the beak, in my picture at least, it's sort of it starts off like the colour of the body, and then it gets darker towards the end. So let's try that. So yeah, maybe that gives me a sort of a dark brown. It's not completely black. Yeah. I'm just sort of applying that gently to the beak.
Okay, so one of our students is asking about the flowers on the sheet.
Yeah.
So, okay, can you point to them and say them so that they can note them down just quickly?
What they are?
Yeah, like the tulip and the carnation and the
sure.
lily.
Okay. Yeah. So we've got.
I apologize to interrupt you.
Yeah, that's okay. Tulips, carnations. Did you say this is lily, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then I think these ones are imaginary, so they are stylized flowers. They're not anything realistic. This one we would call gonchagul, I guess, and this one as well, which means a rosebud, and this one too, like a stylized rosebud. But yeah, I think those are all the flowers that you've got. So you've got tulip, carnation, and lily.
Thank you very much, Ayesha. And the same student is asking about gouache paint. Which do you prefer?
I like Winsor & Newton. They're my favorites. And Schminke. I like Schminke as well.
Yeah, the Schminke white I find really, really good. Like, it can be opaque, but if you add a little bit of water to it, it doesn't get really milky. It still kind of has some transparency that's nice. So for me, I also like Holbein acrylic gouache, but before I open up that can of worms, acrylic gouache means it works the exact same way as normal gouache, except for when it dries, you cannot reactivate it. So it's really good if you want to work on top of, or if you want it to be the final layer, it's fantastic for that. But if you want to be able to have the paint you're putting on top interact with the paint underneath, then stay away. Yeah, I'll write those in the chat box now.
Okay, so what I'm doing now, you will hardly be able to see this, but it gives a nice texture, I think, to the artwork. So I've taken the slightly browny grayish color that I mixed for the beak, and I'm just really going very, very gently with my brush and sort of making little very light lines just to imitate the feathers. And it just gives a little bit of texture to the bird so that it doesn't look like it's just a flat block of color. So Hupu looks just, if I look at the picture, the feathers just look a little bit darker towards the wing, and then a bit lighter nearer the top of the head. So I'll do the same to this one. Then I'm going to take the creamy color that I've mixed, and I'm going to do the same thing. So this you might be able to see a bit more clearly, and do the same thing with the feathers higher up, so in the head and in the crown.
I'm sorry to bother you again. We have the hoopoe and the other two birdies. What are they?
Turtle doves and starlings.
Okay.
But you can change them. You can make them into whatever you like. So what I'll do now is zoom out a little. going to take my watercolors and just do a little bit of shading on these birds. So the shading will go just underneath the wing and just a little bit around the neck here, just to give it some volume and some shape, and maybe a bit in the feather here as well. And the way I'm going to do that is take a brown, so something, just mix up a shade just a little bit darker than whatever you've used for the body. So this, I'll use this brown here, and I'm going to mix it with water so it's not too strong. So I'm just putting a wash of it underneath the wing, just to give a little shadow. So I'll just zoom in there. And then a little just underneath the head, at the bottom of the head. And then I think here maybe as well, just a bit on the tail. Okay, and I'll move over to the male now. Oh, we can do a bit also around the eye, because there is normally like a little socket for the eye, so that would create a shadow.
Everyone's so quiet today.
Concentrating. So I'll just give everyone a moment to finish. And I realised I was saying something earlier about the exhibition at the Aga Khan Centre Gallery. And I meant to just put a link to the talk I'm giving tomorrow in the chat, in case anyone would like to come. So I'll just put that in the chat for anyone who'd like to join us. So just if you aren't already aware, there is an exhibition at the Aga Khan Centre Gallery in King's Cross called Making Paradise. And I'm showing some work along with a lot of really other fantastic artists. And tomorrow, I think 4 or 5 of us are giving a presentation over Zoom just about our work. So if you'd like to join that, here is the link. It's free, you just need to register.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Hopefully some of you can join Ayesha tomorrow. Can you remind us what time it's at?
I think it starts at 4. All of the details are online, but pretty sure it starts at 4 tomorrow. So I thought maybe before we move on to the other birds, I thought maybe we just have a play on another sheet of paper, or you can do it underneath, or you can just watch if you want to. And what I've done is I've just traced, I've taken the shape of, I'm going to put a starling in here, but I've just taken the shape of this bird. And I thought, just in case anyone would like to make up their own birds, let's have a go at making one up just as a group. So just put this to one side. And maybe I thought the way we can do this is maybe if people just put their suggestions in the chat. So what color would you like the body of this bird to be? And I'll just pick a color from whatever I see in the chat. Light blue, green, pink. So many nice suggestions. Okay, so I have an idea. I think, because I have a bit of a sort of a tealy turquoisey color already in my palette, I'm going to use this, and I like the idea of magenta as well. So I'm going to put magenta for the underneath of the body of the bird. Let's try that.
I subliminally messaged magenta into you. Please pick pink, please pick pink.
So let's start with sort of light blue, teal, turquoisey color.
You know, this shows our generation though.
Really?
Yeah, teal, pink, purple, green. It sounds like a windbreaker, you know? But I mean, those colors went well then, and they're gonna go well now on our birds.
Yeah. I was really enjoying seeing all the people who played with the metallic colors and posting their work on Instagram. So much fun.
I'm telling you, you almost converted me. I was in the art store the next day. And actually even the shop owner saw me, you know, hemming and hawing between a whole bunch of different ones, and he came over to talk to me. I was like, I know. I know already. You don't gotta work. I'm just trying to convince myself not to do it.
Oh, did you not buy them?
I didn't end up buying them because I had some actual like work-related stuff to purchase. But if I go back there in the next week or so, it might happen. And you are completely responsible. actually they had a little, like quite small, almost like the size of a makeup compact that had, I think, 9 different colors, like small.
Right.
But if you wanted to get a feel of which ones you like, I might even buy that one.
Yeah. I think you can buy them individually as well.
Yes. Yes, I saw that too.
So if there's something that you're really, really crazy about, you want to just want that. Right. So that's my blue, turquoisey blue. Let's see, I'm going to make a sort of a fuchsia color now. Let's take, what have I got? Tons of pink. There is a pink that I really like, which is called, let's see if I can find it, Bengal Rose. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, it looks a bit more red on the screen, I can see, but it's a very bright pink. This one here.
We have Art Supplies Anonymous in our chat box right now.
Yeah, Sarah, I agree. They're like sweet shops for me as well. Yeah, it is a bit of an addiction. So I'm going to mix my pink with a bit of white just to make it a bit more pinky and less reddish. Ah, ooh. That looks like fun. Okay, so I'm going to use this for the underneath of the bird and the tail. And this is something just purely made up and imagined. So I'm just sort of showing you really how you can make up your own birds as well. You know, you don't have to stick to the pictures that we've got.
Oh, that's lovely.
I do like a bit of turquoise and pink.
Yeah.
So if you're doing this with me, then you can obviously pick your own colours, and it would be quite nice to hear what combinations you're doing. So you can, that'd be, if you want to, you can share that with us in the chat.
Yeah, let us know which colors you're using. Someone needs to humor us. Come on.
We're too busy concentrating.
Well, one of our friends here is still tracing, but that's okay. Take your time. We have a teal and purple, which is a nice combination. And so Lynn, did you start reading Attar after we spoke about it last week, or did you start reading it before? Because she said, I've fallen in love with the hoopoe since reading Conference of the Birds.
Oh, you and me both, Lynn. I love the hoopoo.
He's like, I love that he's bossy for a purpose, you know? We've got light yellow with purple and light pink underneath.
Oh, I love yellow and purple. I'm going to use some yellow now because I have some yellow here in my palette. So I'm going to put that on the beak because I just think turquoise and yellow and pink, it's just a winning combination. So I've realized I can't do very much right now because it's still wet. So I'm going to have to wait for those layers to dry before I put markings on and patterns and things. But what would be quite nice is if people could suggest in the chat what kind of markings you'd like to see in the birds. So, for example, the hoopoo has got stripes. The starling has these really tiny little golden dots, which I think are really beautiful. Yeah, I mean, whatever you think might look nice, just put some suggestions in the chat, and I can try painting them. But once everything is dry, of course.
Dots, maybe. We've got the first one for dots, tiny dots.
Lime green dots, I like that. Mixture of feather markings and dots. Oh, okay, lots of dots. I think we've got to have some dots.
Gold on the pink.
Oh. So just while that's drying, I'm just going to go back to this one. Because what I can do is put my layer of colour on the other birds in the meantime.
And that'll probably bring us up to the halfway mark. And so
Yeah.
that time period, it'll, really dry properly.
Yeah, that sounds good. So I think I'll go for the turtle doves next, and I'm going to put like a grey over both of them, and then work into the details afterwards. So I think what I'll do is I'll just mix some of this cream with a little bit of black. To give me a light grey. So you can use a mix of black and white to make grey. If you want something a bit more subtle, you can put like a bit of brown in there or a bit of red or green in there. And just see which grey you like. So I think what I'll do is just put the base colour in these turtle doves, and then by then it will probably be time for us to go for a break.
And Shireen wrote a really nice message. She said, "Thank you so much for this calming exercise. I'm enjoying this very much. No stress, and it's just joy."
Oh, thank you, Shireen. We're really, really, really happy to have you and glad that you're enjoying it. And that's just what it should be. Just no stress, just fun and calm and just being a bit playful.
I love this kind of taupey gray color you chose.
I really enjoy mixing greys because they're so subtle.
It's the perfect color too for the turtle dove. Someone has let their children out.
Okay, so that's the base color for the 2 turtle doves now. And I think that just takes us nicely up to the break, which is great. So we'll finish off the turtle doves and the starlings as well after the break, and we'll also go back to making up our imaginary bird as well. So let's take 10 minutes or so. Stretch your legs and just make a cup of tea or coffee, and we'll meet back here at 6:10 or in 10 minutes time, wherever you are in the world.
All right. Do you want me to turn off your screen, or are you okay?
I'm just having a look. No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm just reading through the chat. That's all. Afshan, yes, I was planning on making both the starlings the same color. You can, if you want to, you can make them a bit different. Okay, I'll be back in a minute, Laurelie.
Sure. If any of you have any questions, you can put them in the chat box now. Yes, bravo for finishing your tracing, Sarah. What do you mean by watercolor pens? Pencils, you mean? Rahela, your markers, watercolor markers. Like from, I think it's Winsor & Newton, that one? I have actually honestly never used them. So I can't give you an advice, but if it gives you the fine line that you like, then or whatever the effect is, I know that they can blend well also. No problem. Shirin, we'll ask Ayesha when she gets back. Yes, Charlotte, if Leighton House is sponsoring it, we can have that conversation.
Let's do it. I absolutely love this idea. Somebody mentioned it last week as well, and I've been thinking about it. Yeah, be fun.
Yeah, I think it could be really interesting to take some of the stuff we've done already with you, and then also to expand on some of them, because there's so many different like nooks and crannies of Leighton House that we haven't even had a chance to touch yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, it'd be so lovely when you can come over and we can sort of explore the house again and see what you react to. Yeah.
I just have a question here that I'm gonna answer quickly. The motif flower book, it shouldn't be expensive. It's 50 lira here, which is, I don't know, $7, 7 American dollars. What? Wow, 120 pounds. Let me check quickly the actual publisher, and if I can see if the publisher ships internationally, then I'll let you know. Give me 1 second. Let's see. Yeah, I know, but still, shouldn't be that expensive. Let me see. Okay, so unfortunately the site is in Turkish, but I mean, it can be followed. Like it's only available in Turkish. I'm gonna put it in here. When it comes to the book that I was using, the last one, they do not ship internationally. The one with the figures, unfortunately. So the site I just put there, you can check and see if it's available. It's 51 lira and 75 cents. Yeah, look, 22.87. You can check that out. The only difference between the blue and orange edition of Descent Tasrime is there are some more photographs. That's the only difference I could see, really, and I have both. Yes, you can also order through Karin Sanat also. I'm not a big fan of Amazon, so that's why I tried to use other companies like Karin Sanat, like Kitap Yurdu. Yeah, but I realize it's not necessarily always possible, depending on where you live, to kind of avoid Amazon, if that's your thing. Yeah. And the quality of the paper of the second one is nicer. That's the only difference that I noticed, is that paper is nicer, and then they have retaken photos, like they're the same example, but the photo quality is better. So either they took new photos or they improve the quality somehow. Hello.
Oh, hello.
So we've been tossing around the idea about doing coloring book sponsored by Leighton House.
Oh, that would be fun.
One for you and one for Laurelie, sort of building everything that we've done.
I would love that.
Really?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
You don't have to ask us twice, Charlotte.
Right, you're both in. Let's start planning.
So I'm going to go back to the bird that we were just doing, just experimenting with, and then we can come back to the ones on the tile, because I thought if we finish this one first, then if you want to, you can make your starlings into something imaginary, or you can follow me and do your own starling. So.
Did you know that we have parrots in Istanbul?
Parakeets?
Parrots.
Parrots? No, I didn't know.
Yes, green parrots, and it said that they were, I might butcher the story, I can't remember it 100%, but I believe they were brought here by one of the sultans, and they were kept in the Topkapı Palace. And then over time, like when the sultans moved, to Edirne or to different palaces, the birds kind of gradually got out, but they still live in the trees.
Oh, wow.
Inside Gulhane Park. And then what's even weirder / interesting is during the beginning of the pandemic, like I live in an area where we've got lots of birds and lots of trees, and you get used to the different, sounds of the birds. And then we started hearing this like really weird sound that we had never heard before. And you know what it was? It was the parrots. The parrots had left because there was no cars going anywhere. Everywhere was quiet for weeks, months on end. So the parrots gradually left the park.
Wow. Where did
Yeah,
they go?
super interesting. Pardon me?
Do you know where they went?
Yeah, we have this whole like area. You can't see, I'm pointing to it, but we have this whole area of trees and a hill and a hedge, kind of, you know, about 250, 300 meters away. And so they're living in the trees there.
Oh,
Yeah. So it was interesting. We went for a walk one day and we saw
I
these.
don't think I've ever seen a parrot in Istanbul before, but I will look out for that next time I'm there.
Yes, in the Gülhane Park, when you look up into the trees, the cypress trees, you can see them hanging out there.
So I was looking at some of the suggestions. I have an idea as well. So I'm going to use a combination, I think, of what you've suggested and also what I'm thinking of. So I'm going to take a lighter blue now, this one here.
Can you speak up a tiny bit, my dear?
Yeah, sure. I'm taking a lighter blue. You can choose any color you like, of course. And if you're using gouache like me, you can paint a light color on top of a dark color and it will still show. So this is like a really pale powder blue, almost white. And I'm kind of just making this up as I go along. I'm gonna paint little feathers on here. Let's make that come a bit closer. So can you see those feathers?
Yeah.
Oh, my screen's gone off. Sorry.
Are you getting a call?
No. I may have touched something by mistake. Let me just try it. Sorry. Oh.
There we go.
So there was a lot of interest in polka dots, I remember. So we have to have some polka dots. And I think I'm going to break out the metallic colors again. And I remember Ella saying gold. So let's try gold. Let's try this one. I haven't used this one yet. That little gold polka dots in each of these feathers.
I don't know if you remember this book, but it's like firmly in my mind. Do you remember Rainbow Fish?
No, I don't think I've read that.
I definitely do. That I read that to my son so many times. It's gorgeous. That's so funny that you reference that. Yeah, lovely.
Yeah, Rainbow Fish, and his he gives away his sparkly scales, right? Is that the story?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So these kind of birds remind me of that.
Oh no, I haven't.
Yeah, everyone remembers Rainbow Fish in the chat.
Is that a picture book?
It's a picture book, and there's quite a few, and I think there was also a cartoon made from it after. But the picture books are just, oh. And I have two very young nieces. Molly will be 4 in October, and Danny just turned 2 a couple of weeks ago. So I'm going through my picture book relics, you know, and you know, because of the wonderful world of online shopping, I've been able to send them some, and it's really wonderful to see. Like Danny, like just flips every time she gets to read Rainbow Fish. It's interesting, these picture books that kind of shape our childhood.
Yes. Okay, I remember also something about a green. So I'm going to take this green here, and I'm going to make do some shading with the green over the bird's chest or body, just like we did with the hoopoo, with the male hoopoo.
We have someone in the group who researched picture books for her PhD.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Both Laurelie and I illustrate.
Mm-hmm.
So have you done any books for children, Laurelie, or
No, I haven't actually. The first thing I did for kids was our art boxes. So even though I was an art teacher previously, I never did any illustrating for kids. I'd love to. I have an idea in my head about this character that goes on little adventures in the world, like most books, right? One second, I've got a question here. My tracing didn't come out. It's all smudgy. I used a spoon and a 4B pencil. There is exactly the issue. The 4B pencil could be the issue. To kind of salvage it, if you stick down your page with tape and then go over just the lines, you can help yourself that way. And then to answer Aisha's question, well, I'll repeat what she wrote first. The art boxes are wonderful. Thank you very much. We all thank you. Will they be available for sale to the general public? They would make lovely gifts for children. So I hand over to Charlotte if she's available.
Yes, that's exactly the idea, and thank you so much for that comment too. So we're just letting the children enjoy the boxes over the summer as something special just for them, and then we're looking to make them available for sale in September, October, so for when we reopen. So yes, I hope people will like to gift them to the children in their lives. So yes.
Thank you, Charlotte.
I'm going to let you do the shading in your own time, because we should probably get back to the other birds now. But I mean, that's just an example of how you could make up your own, you know, just make up your own designs and colors and things, and just have fun with it.
Our turtle doves. Oh, again.
Again, sorry. So the turtle doves have a sort of orange and black. I'll just show you here. They've got like an orange and black pattern in their wing. So what we'll do, start with the orange. Take this one. So I'm just filling in all the feathers, and I'm being careful not to go over the black lines so that we can still see the shape of the feather and it doesn't all just become one big orange shape. and now I'm going to take the black. So I'll start at the top because my orange paint should be dry there. So I'll start with the first places where I put the orange. And I'm just going to make like the shape of the feather, but just a bit smaller on top of the orange like this. So if I hold this a bit closer to the camera, you can see what I'm doing.
Forward a bit, yeah.
And then for the beak, we can only see one beak here. I'll use the same dark brown color that I used for the hoopoo. And then what we can do is just a bit of shading again, just to give the birds a little bit of volume. So we can mix another brown, just a little bit darker than the brown that we've got. Make it a little watery and just put a wash over wherever we want the shadow to be.
You have a very quiet chat box.
Concentrating, I think.
Mm-hmm. I'm just letting you know, I'm not withholding questions or anything.
By the way, I have a few of my own art classes coming up in September. So if anyone is interested in booking on those, and they are related specifically to illumination, I'm just going to put the link in the chat as well, if anyone would like to have a look at that. So that's just gone in. Yes, the course is for all levels, actually. So the way that I teach, absolute beginners will be able to follow along, but there is also enough challenging material that can be added on if you're experienced already as well. So yes, it's absolutely fine for beginners to join us. So a bit of shading underneath the wing.
I have a really interesting question here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just making sure whoever has been putting off fireworks, I hope you can't hear that, I hope. We have a question from Ella, which, yeah, I'll just read it. I'm really curious about your ideas or your understanding of tradition. What do you consider, or do you consider yourself tradition bearers? What does that mean for you? Is it about continuing exactly as your teacher did, or does tradition shift and renew in time? You first.
Ooh. Oh, so hello, Ella. Ella is one of my students from before, so I know who Ella is. Thanks for joining us. Let me just have another look at the question. tradition bearers? Probably a bit of both, because I was trained in illumination, which is it's a traditional craft, and I think there is an aspect of sort of preserving the tradition and wanting to pass it down to the next generation of artists. So in a way, yes, probably I am a bit of a tradition bearer, but at the same time, I think that tradition, it needs to be practiced in the spirit of the craft, but it can be renewed, I think, with each generation. So there needs, or else things will stagnate, which is just, which is not good for the craft either. So it's a bit of both of absorbing the spirit of the craft, but also allowing there to be some room for interpretation. And I think for working within the context that you're working in, whatever time it is that you're working in, and whatever your context might be. So I think it's not one or the other, it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, well said. I would have to agree, especially like, you know, the tradition in which I studied in, looking at the Islamic ceramics. It's a very different atmosphere than the arts that have an ijaza or an authority based kind of, not authority, but I think that's the best word to use, a transmission of teaching. But that being said, who your teachers were really respected. And I remember feeling for a long time that if I wavered from what my teacher taught me, that I was disrespecting her. I think it took a couple of years to get over that, especially when you're new and you're kind of like squeaky clean, so to speak. But one thing I did realize, and that was from going to many exhibitions here and seeing a lot of the same work over and over again. And it kind of became a little disappointing because, you know, so many people have such like amazing skills, but I'm just seeing the same paintings over and over again. And it became really clear to me that, you know, you can respect the tradition and make it for your time, because if we don't, then it's just going to become, you know, a standard. It's going to become clunky. It's going to become old fashioned if it doesn't get reinterpreted for the time period that we live in. And that was absolutely happening during the time that the artwork was in its infancy. So I think that's something to remember, is that tradition comes from somewhere, and it wasn't always tradition. It became that way over time. So like Ayesha said, the spirit in which that you approach the art and the continuation of that quote unquote tradition is the important part, in my humble opinion. Hope that answers your question, Ella. I'm gonna get my lights on because all you can see is my Christmas lights in the background. I haven't taken down.
Well, I'm starting on the Starling, so you can follow me. I've used a sort of a lapis blue for the body of the bird.
Okay.
And even the beak in my picture looks a bit of a bluish grey. So I'm going to continue the same colour into the beak and then just do a bit of shading with grey afterwards. There is a sort of a yellow colour or like an ochre colour in the tail as well, but I'm going to add that afterwards as well. But for now, I'm just going to paint it a sort of lapis colour.
Becky wrote that I inspired her. She made her starlings into parakeets.
Wonderful.
Yeah, there's some interesting imagery. Again, I don't have it in front of me, with green birds, and I think they're the birds of heaven. I might be.
That's correct. They are. Yeah, that's right. Green. They say that the souls of the martyrs turn into green birds.
Ah, I didn't know the martyr part. Oh, that's really sad and sweet at the same time.
Yeah, I don't know what birds they are meant to be, but I think I just remember them being green birds.
Also, as we might have some new students this week, I'm teaching some classes with the Museum of Islamic Art. We're looking at Spain, which is, you know, my dream come true to teach that. So if you would like to join the classes, I will put a link in the chat box. They are free to the public, and you can also find it on my Instagram page. If you have any problems, send me an email or send me a direct message on my Instagram. I'll send that here. One quick second.
So because there are two birds next to each other and they're both the same color, it is going to look like a block of blue initially, but that won't stay like that because we're going to add other colors on top of the blue. So that will help to just redefine the shapes of both of the birds.
Okay, let me. Okay. So should both birds be the same? They don't have to be, I don't think.
No, you can choose. You can change them if you change them around if you want to.
You could make one like a paler version as well, like maybe a paler blue.
Or just have two completely different birds if you want
Yep.
to.
Yep.
I'm going to take this sort of like a golden, yellowy, orangey colour and start making some of the markings on my starling.
Yeah. Charlotte just said the deep velvet blue is gorgeous, and I have to agree. Is it Prussian blue?
Oh, this is no, it's ultramarine actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I think it's just pure ultramarine. I don't think I've mixed this with anything else. I also love this blue with orange or yellow, just really striking. So let me come a bit closer because it's really striking in front of me, but I don't think it's having the same impact on the screen. I like putting a lighter color of gouache over a dark color. I always think it's quite magical because we're just so used to seeing dark on light, and having it the other way around is I don't know, it's just sort of special, I think.
It's like, it's going to be weird to explain it like this, but there's a kind of a vibration that happens. Like, it's like it kind of sits above. And yeah, it's maybe not vibration, like it hums in a different way. I don't know how to explain.
Yeah, it sings.
Yeah. We've sold someone on gouache. Yeah, gouache is a very interesting world. I myself only started using gouache more readily recently. Actually, I put in the chat box some suggestions, and I'm sure Charlotte will pick it up and send it an email like she really wonderfully did this week. But one brand, if you're starting out, is it's a Dutch brand called Royal Talents, and they've got lots of lovely colors, and they're very budget friendly. I've got a little pot here, but you can get them in tubes as well. That could be one that you play with, so I not feel guilty about playing with. Yeah, gouache is definitely, and it's wonderful on top of watercolor. They're made for each other.
So I'm just painting little feathers like I did on my experimental made-up bird. So you can do the same thing.
Yeah, this yellow is really nice on top.
I think it's a mix of a cadmium yellow and a cadmium orange, maybe with a bit of white or something as well.
Fatima sent us a reference for the green birds in the chat box.
Oh, lovely. Thank you.
For a hadith, actually. So Sarah is asking, what is the best paper then? Watercolor paper, question mark. What?
Well, yeah, for what we're doing, watercolor paper. Yeah, for a good for what exactly? For gouache? Oh yes, yeah. Okay, so for gouache. Yeah, I think watercolor paper is the best.
And you can also get some good multi-purpose papers too. Your ultramarine, it's gouache, right? Or is it watercolor?
No, it's gouache.
Okay.
So these starlings have got little like little spots on each feather of like a orangey yellowy color. So I'm just going to add them.
Karen, I would suggest hot press watercolor paper because it generally has a smoother surface than cold press. So if you're doing detail work, then that'll probably be easier to work on. But there's a trick. A lot of cold press paper, it has a textured side and a smooth side. So I don't know. I've never been so particular about paper, but I'm getting a little bit more finicky. Oh, we have just 4 minutes left.
Ooh, okay, so we should probably start finishing.
Yes,
up.
and I should keep painting until I'm ready for you. Give me 1 second. Okay.
What I'm going to do just before we finish up, because we've lost a few of the details, just because the color is really dark. What I do is take a bit of white and just redefine the eyes and just a few bits that we've lost. So just show you that quickly. So this is my white. You can go around the eye. There, so we can see it a bit more clearly. And there is an eye over here as well.
Okay, so I am putting in a list of, so signups, recordings, everything is in there that I just put in the chat box. So go and copy paste that now before, you know, it gets hidden under a whole bunch of new messages. And now, okay. So
do we have to end here, Laurelie?
yes, ma'am. Yeah.
So I'm going to leave you to finish off the Starlings in your own time, and you've got the reference sheet here, so you can just add your own patterns. Where are they?
I'm just getting one last thing ready, and then we should be good to go.
You can add your own patterns to the Starling and just do the shading in the same way that we've been doing for the other birds as well. And really, really looking forward to seeing your finished work, probably on social media. So here's the Starling. And thank you for joining us today. It's been really fun, as usual.
Yes, absolutely. So
please join us next week for so we'll be working on a different design next week, and it will be beasts and trees. Yeah.
Sorry, everyone. My laptop is just being a little finicky. Give me 1 second.
Thank you, Ayesha and Laurelie. Absolutely wonderful, as ever.
All right. So thank you, Charlotte, as well. We want to remind you, of course, to please tag us on social media. We love seeing what you're doing. If you don't have social media, please email Charlotte, charlotte.villiers@rbkc.gov.uk. And then I'm just putting it in the chat box now. Please consider donating to the Friends of Leighton House. They're the ones who help support these education programs. So I'm just putting that easy donate link in there. And also, if you scroll up a little bit, you will see that we have shared some of the YouTube links. I believe my first session and Ayesha's first section are sessions are up. I don't know what the ETA is on mine. I'm not going to put the fire on Charlotte, but I know that Ayesha's second classes, last week's class is up, right?
That's right.
Yeah, there you go.
Up and ready to go. If we have a second just to have a peek at everybody's work.
Sure. Give me one quick second.
Thank you, Laurelie.
I'm gonna remove the spotlights and the things. Now.
Oh wow! Oh, how colourful! Oh, they're so beautiful.
Oh wow!
That looks fantastic. Oh, Shan, so much fun. Oh, Marilyn, yeah, I love the turquoise background.
Yeah, it's really wonderful. Wonderful.
Wow.
So excited to see your work, especially next week too. And then we have Lynn, how she's put this really nice golden background.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's fantastic.
Ayesha, can you see the dance taking shape?
Oh, wonderful.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much for sharing, everyone. They just look fantastic.
Beautiful. Okay. We will see you all next week. Can't wait.
See you all next week. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, everyone.
Everybody.
Next week.
Bye.
Bye.